Picture this: a grand ballroom in New York City, shimmering with chandeliers and buzzing with the elite, all gathered to celebrate Julian Pierce's return to America after a long business stint in Europe. The air hums with excitement, champagne flows freely, and Julian, the striking young CEO of Pierce Properties, stands at the center of it all. Tall, sharp-jawed, with piercing blue eyes that seem to see through everyone, he commands the room without even trying. But tonight something is off. As he sips his drink, a bitter edge cuts through the sweetness. A haze clouds his mind, and the world begins to blur. Someone, a shadowy figure with a hidden agenda, has slipped something into his glass. Hours later, in a luxurious hotel suite, Julian stumbles through the fog of his senses and finds himself tangled in the arms of a mysterious woman. Her touch is soft, her presence electric, and though he cannot see her face clearly, something stirs deep within him. Morning comes, harsh and unforgiving. She is gone, leaving no trace, no name, only a lingering warmth in his chest, a connection he cannot explain. Among the crowd that night, Damian Cole, a rival from Julian's past, watches with a cryptic smile, his eyes glinting with unspoken intent. Julian Pierce is no ordinary man. At 32, he helms Pierce Properties, a real estate empire that dominates New York's skyline. He is the kind of person who thrives on control, his life a carefully constructed fortress of ambition and discipline. Love? It is a distraction he has never entertained. Relationships? A waste of time. To him, emotions are liabilities in a world ruled by power and profit. Yet that night leaves him unsettled, a crack in his armor he cannot ignore. He brushes it off as a fluke, a fleeting lapse, but it lingers like a melody he cannot place. Days pass, and he throws himself back into work, determined to erase the memory of that stranger's touch. But fate has other plans. 5 years ago, Julian's life took a turn he never wanted. His grandfather, Walter Pierce, a stubborn old man with a heart too big for his own good, forced him into a marriage. It was not love that bound Julian to Clara Bennett, but gratitude. Clara's father had saved Walter's life in a car accident, pulling him from a burning wreck when no one else dared. In return, Walter demanded Julian marry Clara, a debt paid in vows rather than dollars. Julian resisted, argued, even stormed out of the room, but Walter's will was ironclad. So they wed, sight unseen, a union sealed on paper and nothing more. Julian never met Clara, never cared to. She was a ghost in his life, a name on a certificate he buried in a drawer. For 5 years he lived as if she did not exist, building his empire while she faded into the background. To him it was a contract, not a marriage, and he was fine with that. Until now. Back in New York, that strange night gnaws at him. Julian decides it is time to cut the last tie holding him back. He wants a divorce from Clara Bennett, clean and simple, no meetings, no fuss. He picks up the phone and calls the best divorce lawyer in the city, Evelyn Hayes. Her reputation precedes her. Sharp, relentless, unbeatable. If anyone can untangle this mess without dragging 222 quattodecillion, 222 tridecillion, 222 duodecillion, 222 undecillion, 222 decillion, 222 octillion, 222 sextillion, 222 sextillion, 222 quintillion, 200 quadrillion him through the mud. It is her. They set a meeting, and Julian feels a weight lift. Soon he will be free, his life his own again. What he does not know, what he could never guess, is that Evelyn Hayes is more than just a lawyer. She is the woman from that hotel room, the one whose touch he cannot forget. And she is Clara Bennett, the wife he has never met, bound to him by a vow he dismissed and a night he cannot erase. Evelyn's face haunts his dreams now. Every night he closes his eyes and sees fragments of her, dark hair spilling over a pillow, a soft laugh echoing in the dark, a hand brushing his cheek. He wakes up restless, his heart racing, unsure if it is memory or imagination. He tells himself it is nothing, just the after effects of whatever drug coursed through him that night. but it feels real, too real, like a thread pulling him towards something he cannot name. Julian is not a man who believes in fate. He built his world with his own hands, brick by brick, deal by deal. Yet here he is, standing at the edge of something he cannot control, a mystery unraveling before him. Who was she? Why does she linger in his mind like this? He pushes the thoughts down, locks them away, but they creep back, soft and persistent, whispering questions he is not ready to answer. That night at the party was no accident. Damien Cole, a man Julian once outshone in business school, was there, lurking in the shadows. Years ago, they vied for the same deals, the same spotlight, but Julian always came out on top. Damien never forgot, never forgave. His smile that night was not one of celebration, but calculation, a predator waiting for the right moment. Julian does not know it yet, but Damien's hand slipped that drug into his drink, a first move in a game of revenge. It was meant to humiliate him, to unravel the perfect life Julian had built. Instead, it sparked something else, something neither of them could predict, a connection forged in a haze, a secret waiting to break free. As Julian prepares to meet Evelyn Hayes, he feels a strange anticipation. It is not just about the divorce, though that is reason enough. It is something deeper, a pull he cannot shake. He straightens his tie, checks his reflection, and heads out, unaware that he is walking into a moment that will change everything. The woman he longs to forget and the wife he wants to erase are one and the same. And soon, their worlds will collide. For now, he is a man on a mission, determined to reclaim his freedom. But freedom, he will learn, comes at a price, and love has a way of rewriting the rules. Across the river in Brooklyn, Evelyn Hayes sits in her modest office, a world away from the gleaming towers of Manhattan. Papers are stacked high on her desk, a testament to the chaos she is trying to tame. At 30, she is a force in the courtroom, a divorce lawyer with a reputation for turning lost causes into victories. But behind her calm exterior lies a storm of her own making. Her father's death 2 years ago left her with more than grief. It left her with a failing law firm, drowning in debt. Every case she takes now is a lifeline, a chance to keep the lights on and honor the legacy he built. When Julian Pierce's call comes through, offering a hefty fee to handle his divorce, she sees salvation. But there is a catch she cannot escape. She is Clara Bennett, the wife he wants to cast aside, and she has carried a secret love for him since she was a girl, fed by her father's stories of the brilliant, driven man he admired. She cannot tell Julian the truth, not yet. If he knew, he might think she orchestrated that night at the hotel to trap him, to use him. The thought twists her stomach, so she buries it, locks it deep, and agrees to take the case. Their first meeting is set in her office, a small space with creaky floors and a view of the East River. Julian arrives precisely on time, his presence filling the room like a storm cloud. He is all tailored suits and cool confidence, his voice clipped as he lays out his terms. A quick, clean divorce from Clara Bennett. No complications, no face-to-face encounters. Evelyn nods, her pen scratching notes, but her heart races. Up close, he is even more striking than she imagined. His blue eyes sharp, yet shadowed with something she cannot name. She feels his gaze linger on her, not with recognition, but with a quiet curiosity that sends a shiver down her spine. He does not know her, not as Clara, not as the woman from that night. Yet there is a pull between them, subtle and unspoken. Julian feels it too, though he would never admit it. Her voice, soft but steady, stirs something in him, a flicker of that strange warmth he felt in the hotel. He dismisses it as nonsense, focusing on the task at hand, but his eyes keep drifting back to her. Evelyn tries to stay professional, to keep the walls up. She has spent years building them, brick by brick, to protect herself from a world that has taken too much. Her father used to tell her about Julian, how he was destined for greatness, how he fought his way to the top with nothing but grit and vision. As a teenager, she would listen, wide-eyed, imagining a man larger than life. She fell for him then, in the quiet of those stories, a childish crush that grew into something deeper over time. When she married him 5 years ago, sight unseen, it was a duty to her father, not a dream come true. She knew Julian did not want her, did not even know her, so she stayed away, let him live his life while she built hers. But now, sitting across from him, that old ache resurfaces. He is real, not a myth, and he is looking at her like she matters. It is dangerous, this feeling, and she knows it. Meanwhile, trouble brews beyond their quiet meeting. Damien Cole, the man with the cryptic smile from the party, is making moves. He leaks rumors to the press, whispers that Julian Pierce was seen with a mystery woman, that the untouchable CEO is not so untouchable after all. The story spreads like wildfire, and Pierce Properties feels the heat. Stock prices dip, investors murmur, and Julian's carefully crafted image begins to crack. Damien is the architect of it all, the one who slipped that drug into Julian's drink. It was a calculated strike, meant to humiliate Julian, to drag him down from the pedestal he has stood on for years. Back in business school, Damien was always second to Julian, his every success overshadowed by Julian's brilliance. That night at the party was his revenge, a chance to even the score. Evelyn, lost in her own thoughts, mentions offhand to a colleague about a cousin from her mother's side, someone who always resented her father's favor toward her. She does not name Damien, not yet, but the seed is planted. Days later, Evelyn is alone in her apartment, unpacking a bag she carried that night at the hotel. Her fingers brush against something cold and metallic, a small silver ring engraved with a faint pattern. She freezes. It is not hers. Her mind races back to the hotel, to the blurred moments with Julian, and she knows. This is his. She saw him twist a similar ring on his finger during their meeting, a nervous habit he probably does not even notice. Her breath catches as the truth sinks in. Julian Pierce, the man she has loved in silence, the man she is helping to divorce her, was the stranger in that room. Her heart pounds, a mix of fear and longing. She should tell him, should hand the ring back and confess everything. But what if he thinks she planned it? What if he sees her as a schemer, a gold digger, using that night to get close to him? The thought is unbearable. She slips the ring into a drawer, vowing to keep it hidden, to keep him at arm's length. But the secret burns inside her, a flame she cannot extinguish. Julian, too, is restless. He tells himself the meeting with Evelyn was routine, just business, but her face stays with him, her voice echoing in his mind. There is something about her, something familiar he cannot place. It is not just her beauty, though she has that in spades, with her dark hair and thoughtful hazel eyes. It is the way she carries herself, strong yet guarded, like she has seen too much and still stands tall. He catches himself wondering about her life, who she is beyond the lawyer's desk. It irritates him, this curiosity. He does not have time for it, not with Damien's rumors circling like vultures. Yet when he closes his eyes that night, it is not the hotel stranger he dreams of, but Evelyn. Her laugh, her touch, blending into memories he cannot fully grasp. He wakes with a start, frustrated and confused. What is happening to him? Evelyn stares at the closed drawer, the ring a silent weight on her conscience. She knows she is playing a dangerous game, hiding who she is from the man she has loved for years. But telling him risks everything, her dignity, her career, the fragile hope she clings to. She thinks of her father, how he believed in Julian, how he trusted her to carry on his name. This case could save her firm, could give her a fresh start. She cannot let her heart ruin that. So she resolves to stay silent, to be Evelyn Hayes the lawyer, not Clara Bennett the wife. But, as she drifts to sleep, she wonders if Julian feels it too, that invisible thread pulling them closer, tying them together in ways neither of them can see. Evelyn's world begins to unravel in ways she never expected. Her office phone rings incessantly now, not with clients, but with demands from her family. Her mother's second husband died years ago, leaving her with Marlene Bennett, a stepmother with a tongue sharper than a blade, and Travis Bennett, a stepbrother who sees the world as his personal ATM. They have been using Evelyn's name, or rather Clara Bennett's name, to borrow money from Pierce Properties, claiming it as a favor to their daughter-in-law. The sums are staggering, hundreds of thousands funneled into failing ventures and lavish spending. Evelyn discovers this when a furious email from Julian's assistant lands in her inbox, detailing the loans and demanding an explanation. Her stomach drops. She never authorized this, never even knew. But to Julian, it looks like betrayal, like she has been playing him from the start. He does not wait for her side of the story. Pierce Properties launches a full assault on Bennett Realty, the small company her father left behind, aiming to crush it under legal threats and financial pressure. Evelyn watches in horror as her legacy teeters on the edge, her family's greed pulling it down. She cannot let this stand. Evelyn marches to Julian's office in Manhattan, her heart pounding with a mix of anger and desperation. He sits behind a massive desk, his face a mask of cold fury as she storms in. Words fly like sparks between them. She tells him she had no part in the loans, that Marlene and Travis acted alone, that she would never stoop so low. Julian scoffs, his voice cutting. He calls her a liar, accuses her of weaving a web to trap him, using her lawyer's skills to cover her tracks. The air crackles with tension, their voices rising. In her frustration, Evelyn reaches for her bag to pull out documents proving her innocence, but her hands shake, and an old leather-bound journal slips out instead. It hits the floor with a thud, pages splaying open. She freezes, recognizing it instantly. Her father's journal, a keepsake she has carried since his death. Julian snaps at her to pick it up, but something in her expression stops him. Before she can react, he grabs it, his eyes narrowing as he demands what game she is playing now. The argument escalates, words turning into a storm. Evelyn tries to explain, her voice breaking as she pleads for him to listen. Julian steps closer, too close, his breath warm against her face. For a moment they stand there locked in a silent battle of wills. Then, without warning, he pulls her into him and kisses her. It is not gentle, not planned, but raw and urgent, a collision of pent-up emotions neither of them can name. Evelyn's mind spins, her hands pressing against his chest, torn between pushing him away and pulling him closer. When he finally steps back, his face is flushed, his breathing uneven. He mutters something incoherent, grabs his coat and storms out, leaving her standing there, lips tingling, heart racing. The journal lies forgotten on the floor, a silent witness to the chaos. Evelyn sinks into a chair, her fingers tracing where his touch lingered. She knows she still loves him, has always loved him, and that kiss only makes it harder to pretend otherwise. Julian does not go far. He ends up outside her building, the rain pouring down in sheets, soaking through his suit. He clutches the journal, snatched up in his haste to leave. He should throw it away, should walk away from this mess. But he opens it instead, the ink smudged but legible under the streetlight. The words hit him like a punch, pages of her father's handwriting, detailing how Clara, his daughter, once saved Julian from ruin. Years ago, when Julian was just starting Pierce Properties, a rival sued him over a shady deal he did not even make. It could have ended him before he began. Clara, barely 20, found a loophole in the contract, fed it to her father, and begged him to pass it to Walter anonymously. She did not want credit, did not want Julian to know. She just wanted him to succeed. Julian's hands tremble as he reads, rain mixing with the realization sinking in. Evelyn is not who he thought. She helped him, protected him, long before they ever met. Back in Brooklyn, Evelyn tries to steady herself. That kiss replays in her mind, a moment she never dared dream of. But it changes nothing. Julian hates her now, or thinks he does, and her family's actions have only widened the gap. She should have told him the truth from the start, should have handed back that ring and confessed. Now it is too late. Her phone buzzes, a message from a colleague warning her about Damien Cole. The rumors he spread about Julian are gaining traction, painting him as a reckless playboy. Evelyn knows Damien from her past, a distant cousin on her mother's side who always envied her father's favor toward her. She never liked him, never trusted him, but she did not think he would go this far. The pieces start to fit. Damien at the party, the drugged drink, the night that changed everything. She wonders if he knows more, if he suspects her secret. Julian's world tilts further when Damien calls him that night. The rain still drums against his car window as Damien's voice crackles through the line, smug and taunting. He tells Julian the woman from the hotel was Evelyn Hayes, dropping the bombshell with glee. Julian grips the steering wheel, his mind racing. He does not believe it at first, cannot believe it. Damien is a liar, a snake, always has been, but then he remembers the ring. He saw it on Evelyn's finger during their meeting. A flash of silver he dismissed as coincidence. Now it gnaws at him. He hangs up on Damien, his thoughts a tangled mess. If Evelyn was that woman, why did she not say anything? Was it all a setup, a ploy to get close to him? Or was it something else, something he cannot yet see? The journal weighs heavy in his lap, her father's words echoing in his head. He drives back to her office, stands under the rain again, staring up at her darkened window. He does not know what to feel, anger, betrayal, or something softer, something dangerous. Evelyn locks her office door, the silence pressing in. She pulls the ring from her drawer, holds it up to the dim light. It is his, undeniably his, a piece of him she has kept close. She should give it back, should end this charade. But the memory of his kiss stops her, the way he looked at her, conflicted and raw. She slips the ring onto her finger, just for a moment, imagining a world where he knows her, wants her. Then she takes it off, tucks it away again. She cannot tell him, not when he thinks she is a fraud. The divorce case looms, her family's mess grows, and Damien's shadow darkens everything. She feels trapped, a pawn in a game she never wanted to play. But her heart whispers that Julian felt it too, that spark in the chaos, and it terrifies her. Julian sits in his car, the journal open on the passenger seat. The rain slows to a drizzle, mirroring the shift in his chest. He does not trust easily, has never had to. But Evelyn is different, and that journal proves it. She saved him once, without him knowing, without asking for anything. He thinks of her voice, her eyes, the way she stood up to him today. And that kiss, reckless and real, lingers like a promise. He does not know who she really is, not yet, but he knows he cannot let her go, not without answers. He drives off into the night, the first threads of doubt and longing weaving together, pulling him back to her. The air in New York grows heavier as autumn fades, and with it comes Walter Pierce, Julian's grandfather, stepping off a plane with the weight of years etched into his face. He has been away too long, tending to business overseas, but rumors of Julian's troubles pull him back. He storms into Pierce Properties, his voice booming through the sleek offices, demanding to know why Julian is pushing for a divorce from Clara Bennett. Julian stands before him, jaw tight, explaining it is a marriage in name only, a burden he never wanted. Walter's eyes narrow, his patience fraying. Then he drops the bomb. Evelyn Hayes, the lawyer Julian hired, is Clara Bennett, his wife of 5 years. The room spins for Julian. His mind races back to the hotel, the ring, the journal, the kiss. It all crashes together, a puzzle he was too blind to solve. Walter does not stop there. He demands Julian fix this, go to Evelyn, apologize, and make the marriage real. Pride surges in Julian's chest, a wall he cannot lower. He refuses, his voice cold, and storms out, leaving Walter shaking his head in disappointment. Evelyn, meanwhile, sits alone in her Brooklyn apartment, her hands trembling over a small white stick. 2 lines stare back at her, undeniable proof she is pregnant. The night at the hotel, that fleeting moment with Julian, has left her with more than memories. She presses a hand to her stomach, her thoughts a whirlwind. She imagines telling him, imagines his reaction, anger, disbelief, or worse, pity. In her mind, she hears her own voice, soft and broken, confessing she has loved him for years, that this child is a piece of that love, but she knows Julian too well now. He would stay out of duty, not desire, and that would break her more than his absence ever could. She cannot trap him, cannot let him think she planned this to keep him. So she decides to leave, to start over somewhere new, away from New York, away from him. She pulls out the divorce papers, signs her name with a steady hand, and packs a single bag. Before she goes, she slips them into an envelope and mails them to his office, a final goodbye she cannot say in person. Julian wrestles with Walter's words, the truth gnawing at him. Evelyn is Clara, the woman he kissed, the woman who saved him years ago, the woman who haunts his dreams, is his wife. He should feel betrayed, should hate her for hiding it, but he does not. He feels lost, adrift in a sea of his own making. He drives to her office, the journal still in his car, needing answers. But she is not there. A note on her desk says she is out of town, indefinite leave. Panic flickers in his chest. He calls her, no answer. He drives to her apartment, finds it dark and empty. Then the mail arrives at his office, her signed divorce papers landing like a stone in his hands. She is gone, slipping away before he can face her, before he can understand what she means to him. He crumples the papers, his breath ragged, realizing too late that he does not want this ending. Across the city, Damien Cole sees his chance. He has watched Julian unravel, has fueled the rumors, and now he strikes. Late at night, Evelyn walks to her car, her bag slung over her shoulder, ready to leave for good. A van screeches to a halt, and before she can scream, hands grab her, pulling her inside. Damien's face looms over her, his smile twisted with triumph. He calls Julian from a burner phone, his voice dripping with malice. He demands Julian sign over Pierce Properties, every share, every asset, or Evelyn pays the price. Julian's blood runs cold. He agrees without hesitation, tells Damien to name the place, the time. An abandoned warehouse on the edge of Brooklyn, midnight. Julian grabs his keys, his mind racing with one thought. He has to save her, no matter the cost. The warehouse is a cavern of shadows, the air thick with dust and menace. Evelyn sits tied to a chair, her eyes blazing with defiance despite the fear clawing at her. Damien paces, a gun in his hand, taunting her. Julian arrives alone, as instructed, his face a mask of determination. He tosses a folder of signed documents at Damien's feet, his voice steady. "Let her go," he says, "you have what you want." But Damien laughs, a hollow, bitter sound. He steps closer to Evelyn, pressing the gun to her temple, and reveals the twist that shatters everything. He is her cousin, her mother's nephew, cast aside when her father chose her as his heir. He hated her for it, hated Julian for outshining him, and that night at the hotel was his revenge on them both. He drugged Julian, knowing Evelyn would be there, hoping to ruin them together. The plan backfired, binding them instead, and now he wants them to suffer. Julian lunges, rage and fear driving him. The gun goes off, a deafening crack, and pain sears through his shoulder as he tackles Damien to the ground. They grapple, fists flying, until Julian pins him, wrenching the weapon away. Evelyn screams his name, her voice cutting through the chaos. Julian staggers to her, blood soaking his shirt, and unties her with shaking hands. She clings to him, tears streaming down her face, begging him to hold on. He pulls her close, his breath ragged, and whispers that he is sorry, that he should have known, should have seen her. Sirens wail in the distance, summoned by a passerby who heard the shot. Damien lies unconscious, the fight drained out of him. Julian collapses, his strength fading, but his arms stay around her, a lifeline he refuses to let go. Evelyn sits by his hospital bed, her hand wrapped around his. The room is quiet, the beeping of machines a steady rhythm. He wakes slowly, his eyes finding hers, and for the first time, there is no wall between them. She starts to speak, to apologize, but he stops her. His voice is weak but clear. He tells her he read the journal, knows what she did for him, knows who she is. He says he has been a fool pushing her away when she was the one he needed all along. Tears spill down her cheeks as he confesses he loves her, has loved her since that kiss, maybe even before, in ways he could not understand. He reaches for her, pulls her close, and she rests her head against his chest, feeling his heartbeat, strong and alive. She does not tell him about the baby, not yet. This moment is enough, a fragile new beginning born from the ashes of their past. Damien's words echo in Julian's mind as he holds her. The truth about that night, the drug, the twisted jealousy that set it all in motion. He should hate Damien, should want revenge, but all he feels is relief, gratitude that it brought him to her. Evelyn's silence about the pregnancy weighs on her, but she keeps it locked away, waiting for the right time. She knows he loves her now, knows it in the way he looks at her, the way he fought for her. The warehouse, the blood, the fear, it all fades as they sit there, two broken souls finding each other at last. Julian brushes a strand of hair from her face, his touch gentle, and promises he will never let her go again. For the first time, Evelyn believes him. The hospital room fades into memory as weeks turn into months, and Julian Pierce makes a choice that shocks New York. He sits in the boardroom of Pierce Properties, his shoulders still stiff from the wound, and announces he is stepping down as CEO. The room erupts in murmurs, but his voice cuts through, firm and unshaken. He hands the reins to his younger sister, a capable woman who has waited for her moment, and walks away from the empire he built. For the first time, he wants more than power, more than control. He wants Evelyn, wants the life he almost lost in that warehouse. She is his reason now, and he will not let pride steal her from him again. He finds her in Brooklyn in the small apartment she returned to after the chaos. She opens the door, her eyes wide with surprise, and he does not hesitate. He drops to one knee at the edge of the Hudson River Pier, the place her father once spoke of Walter with pride, and asks her to marry him again, this time for real, for love. In his hand is a simple silver bracelet, etched with her father's initials, found tucked inside the journal. It is a piece of her past, a promise for their future. Tears brim in her eyes as she says yes, her voice trembling with joy, and he slips the bracelet onto her wrist, sealing their second chance. Time moves forward, soft and steady, and Evelyn gives birth to a son, a tiny boy with Julian's blue eyes and her quiet strength. They name him Miles, a name that means soldier, a tribute to the battles they fought to find each other. Julian cradles him in the hospital, his hands gentle, his face lit with a wonder he never knew he could feel. Evelyn watches, her heart full, the weight of the past lifting with every breath Miles takes. She tells Julian about the pregnancy then, in the quiet of that room, her voice soft as she admits she kept it secret, afraid he would stay for the wrong reasons. He pulls her close, miles between them, and tells her he would have stayed for her, always her, baby or not. They laugh through tears, a family forged in fire, now standing in light. The bracelet glints on her wrist, a reminder of where they began and where they are going. Damien Cole's fate is sealed in a courtroom across town. The evidence piles high, kidnapping, assault, his own confession spilling out in a desperate bid for leniency. He gets none. The judge sentences him to years behind bars, his empire of spite crumbling to dust. Marlene and Travis, Evelyn's stepmother and stepbrother, vanish in the aftermath, fleeing the city with whatever they could carry. Warrants follow them, but Evelyn does not care. They are gone, their shadows no longer darkening her door. She is free, truly free for the first time since her father died. She takes that freedom and builds something new. A small law office in Brooklyn, not for profit, but for passion. She helps people like her, people caught in tangles they cannot escape, offering them the strength she found in herself. Julian stands by her, proud and steady, his days now spent learning what it means to live, not just conquer. Their life settles into a rhythm, simple and sweet. A brownstone in Brooklyn becomes their home, its walls filled with laughter and the patter of tiny feet. Miles grows fast, a whirlwind of curiosity, and Julian discovers a side of himself he never knew. He trades boardroom battles for bedtime stories, his voice soft as he reads to Miles under a blanket fort. Evelyn watches from the doorway, her heart swelling with a love she once thought impossible. They walk together along the Hudson on weekends, Miles toddling between them, the city stretching out like a promise. One evening, under a sky painted with the soft oranges of sunset, Julian kneels again. Not to propose, but to tell Miles a story. He speaks of a man lost in the dark, a woman who lit his way, and a night that changed everything. His voice cracks as he looks at Evelyn, his eyes shining with gratitude, and she smiles, her hand finding his. Miles giggles, oblivious to the weight of it all, and they hold him close, a family whole and unbroken. Evelyn thinks often of the journey that brought them here. She remembers the hotel, the fear of losing him, the silence she kept to protect her heart. She remembers the warehouse, his blood on her hands, his promise to never let go. It was not easy, this love. It came with scars, with battles neither of them chose, but it was worth it, every moment, every tear. She looks at Julian now, at the man who fought for her, who chose her over everything he knew, and she knows she would do it all again. Her voice carries over the years as she thinks aloud, a quiet narration to herself. We were strangers once, bound by a vow neither of us wanted. We were enemies, tangled in lies and pride, but love found us, stubborn and true, weaving us together when we thought we would break apart. It is not a fairy tale, not perfect, but it is ours, and that is enough. The sun dips lower, casting a warm glow over the three of them. Julian lifts Miles onto his shoulders, his laughter mingling with the breeze. Evelyn slips her arm through his, the bracelet cool against her skin, a link to her father, to the man who believed in them both. She leans her head on Julian's shoulder, feeling his warmth, his strength, and knows this is home. Not the city, not the house, but him. Them, this moment. They walk on, shadows stretching long behind them, a picture of healing, of hope. Julian glances down at her, his smile soft, and whispers that he loves her, simple words that carry the weight of their story. She whispers it back, her voice steady, and Miles reaches for her hand, tiny fingers wrapping around hers. The world fades away, leaving just them, a family born from chaos, now basking in peace. Evelyn closes her eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the river and her son's chatter wash over her. She thinks of her father, of how he would smile to see her now, happy, whole. She thinks of Julian, the man she loved in silence, now the man who loves her out loud. And she thinks of Miles, their miracle, proof that even the darkest nights can lead to dawn. They have come so far, through storms and secrets, to stand here together. As the last light fades, she opens her eyes, meets Julian's gaze, and knows they will face whatever comes next, side by side. This is their ending, their beginning, a love story written in courage and grace, a testament that true love, once found, never lets go.